Hi guys, and welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Praesidus C47 D-Day A11. We'll get into all that here in just a moment. I was sent this watch for free, however, I don't get to keep the watch, it's got to go back. But either way, you're going to get my full and honest review on this channel every single time. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving a link down in the video description that'll take you right to the Praesidus website, and you can place your pre-order for this watch. The retail price for this watch is $550 US. And the watches are currently in their second batch of pre-orders due to ship near the end of August. The first batch sold out pretty quickly, so I think if you want this thing, you're going to have to order it pretty quickly. So the watch is offered in 3 different colorways that you can see here. All the dials here, they're offered in a low wear and tear or a high wear and tear option, which is pretty cool to have. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a screw-down crown, a screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Miyota 9039 high-beat automatic movement. So like the thumbnail says, if you buy this watch, you are wearing a literal piece of history on your wrist. Each dial here is pulled from the door of a C-47 plane that dropped paratroopers on Normandy back on June 6th, 1944. Seriously, how freaking cool is that? Obviously, the history behind this watch is cool, but the watch still needs to be good, right? Well, I say we dig in. Let's find out if it is any good. Before we do, doing a quick wrist check today, wearing another military-inspired piece, the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical 38. Absolutely love it. All right, let's talk about the dimensions. Got a case diameter of 37.9 millimeters, 12.9 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 44.9 millimeters. And the watch head alone weighs 53 grams. So I think the size on this watch is great. It's what you would expect, 38 millimeter-ish field watch. 12.8 millimeters thick, I think is what it said. A little bit thick for this style watch, but I don't think it looks overly too thick. It wears really good. You do have a just a slight curvature to the lugs there, so it does sit really nice on the wrist. Perfect weight in my opinion. It feels solid. Really, overall, pretty happy with it. I like the 38 millimeter field watches, as you can tell. So yeah, I do like the way that this thing wears. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. Here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it wears fine. This 38 millimeter field watch, I really do like it. You can tell that that strap is a little stiff though. It's not really conforming to the wrist very well. That's my only real complaint with it. I think it looks really good, but you can definitely see that it's not long enough there, so I can't do the typical tuck under that last keeper there. So yeah, it's just a little bit too short for me, which is sad because I do really like the color on it. I think it looks really good. The invasion stripes, they kind of look awesome on this thing. But here you can see it in some direct sunlight. I'm going to try and zoom in here and see if I can show you a little bit of the detail on that dial, just kind of how it plays a little differently with the light. Really nice though. I've got it in some pretty tricky lighting here with a tree above me, so in real life the reflections are not bad at all. There's plenty of air coating on the crystal. Got lots of distortion on the edges of the crystal as well. But let's go throw down a couple straps and we'll get back to this review. And here we are on a brown distressed leather strap. Got a St. Martin buckle on it, but yeah, I think that actually looks pretty good. I do really like the Praesidus leather straps, so I think they also look really nice. But yeah, there's this one, a little bit of sunlight for you guys. More direct sunlight, just to see how that dial plays. It's really, really quite cool. But I'm going to go throw it on one other strap and we can get back to this review. Yeah, here we are on an army green nylon strap. This is a Cincy Strapco SF2. So there you can see 2 layers underneath the watch, just like the original, just a little bit thinner. It wears great. We've got no complaints with this. I think the color match is actually perfect on this, so yeah, really happy with that. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on this. Case finishing is very, very simple. It is a fully bead blasted case, as you can see there. Not a single polished or brushed surface on this thing. Even the crown is also bead blasted. Yeah, really nice size crown too. I like it, big and grippy. You got drilled lugs there for easy strap changes. So I do have this case back here. I'm not sure if this is the one that's shipping out. They show a different one on the listing, but this one says Type A11. That's the the dial design. Then D-Day 80th Anniversary, Praesidus C47 Limited Edition, D-Day C47 Dial, 6/6/1944 automatic US ASM, US assembly, and I believe this would be number 15. So yeah, I think that's what all that stuff means. But like I said, I'm not really sure which rear case back you're going to get. I think both of them are pretty cool either way. So yeah, I think either way I would be happy with them. But the case finishing on this watch, it's very simple, but it's very smooth, really, really smooth. And I think it looks pretty good. You can get you a good look at the case itself. Pretty sharp definition in the lugs and stuff. So it's not a very smooth case like this one here. This one is the Hamilton's kind of, long and sloping. This one's a little bit more short and compact and a little bit more angular. But I think it does look pretty cool, and I like the fact that the case kind of just rolls right into the bezel there, so there's no real defined bezel. It kind of looks interesting. Really, really cool looking, though. All right, so let's talk about the crystal. We'll test it for sapphire real quick. It's positive for sapphire, and it's a very nicely double-domed, box dome sapphire crystal. You can see there, nice big round chamfer. It's not a very sharp chamfer, so it does have a very vintage look to it. It looks fantastic, plenty of distortion at the edges, nice blue air coating on it. The blue is not overbearing in my opinion. It's mostly just contained around the edge of the crystal, so even in the middle of the dial there, it's mostly just a clear look. But yeah, you can definitely tell there is some blue AR to it. But either way, I think it looks good. It keeps the dial nice and legible, and I love all that distortion. I think it looks really good. They chose a really nice crystal for this one. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So, like I said earlier, the dial is a literal piece of history here. This piece of aluminum here is pulled from the door of a C-47 that flew on D-Day. So, yeah, it's really cool, and you can see here, mine does have some little scratching across it there. I'm not sure if this would be considered light or heavy patina, but either way, it's just kind of cool to see. The dial itself actually has a very cool color palette to it. It's the green is lifted off of the paint scheme from the C-47, and then I just love the color of it. Really a cool color. It kind of shines depending on the light of it, so the aluminum, it is reflective, and it does come through the paint a little bit. So it's really, obviously, it just looks cool. Looks really cool. You can see here, this is showing it off pretty nicely in my opinion. So really happy with the dial on this thing. Everything here that you see is printed nicely. I see no bleed over. I see nothing. There you can see there's no branding on the dial, which is unusual for any watch, but it doesn't feel empty to me. I think the handset that they chose really fills out that dead space in the middle nicely. They're nice and big and bold. They're not polished or anything like that. They're just kind of a bead blasted handset, so they really stand out against the green. It's a super legible watch, which is exactly what you want for a dial like this or a watch like this. You have your hour track printed on the inside there, minute track on the outside, and then every 10 minutes you have the numbers printed there. So the legibility of this watch is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Sadly, the lume on this is not very good. They do tout that it is super luminova. I'm not really sure, but here it is against the two Hamiltons in my collection, and you can see the Hamiltons, they just kind of walk away with it, and the Hamiltons are not necessarily great when it comes to the lume. So the lume on this watch is a little bit disappointing. I wish they would put just a little bit more lume material on this thing. Don't buy this watch for the lume. It's not terrible, but I definitely wouldn't buy this watch for the lume. So yeah, a little bit disappointing with the lume on this watch, but the dial itself is actually really, really nicely done. All right, so let's talk about the movement and the crown in this thing. So the movement is the Miyota 9039 high beat automatic. So it's a 28,800 beats per hour. So 8 ticks of the second hand every second. Roughly 40 hours of power reserve. It hacks, it hand winds. It does have a single directional winding rotor. I haven't heard it spinning around back there, so just something to note. Some people like that, some people don't. It doesn't bother me too much in this one for some reason, but yeah, these movements are great. They're going to be reliable. They're accurate enough. I've been wearing this one for the past 2 days, and it's only 4 seconds fast, so I'm pretty happy with the accuracy on this watch. Yeah, I can't really complain too much about the Miyota movement. The only real complaint I have is that winding rotor. Other than that, they're great. The screw in and screw out action of that crown, super solid, or super smooth. The nice satisfying pop out of the movement there. First position is a nice smooth hand winding. the second position jumps right into your time setting, so there's no ghost date position or anything. So yeah, really happy with that. The time setting functions exactly as you would expect it to. So overall, very happy with the movement in this thing. Very happy with the crown action in this thing. It's just nice and smooth. Really, really smooth. Plenty of grip on it too. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about in the movement section. All right, so let's talk about the straps on this thing. So they do offer two different straps. They have a brown leather, which you can see here. I have had that leather strap in the past, and it's a really nice leather strap. I think it was really long, though. That was one thing I remembered. The opposite is with this one. Sadly, this one is just a little bit too short for me. I like to be able to tuck the tail, and I can't do that on this one. So, but the strap itself, it's a really nice heavy-duty nylon strap, 2 layers underneath the watch there. Brushed hardware too, so it matches the case very nicely. I like this buckle. It's something that I haven't seen on every single other watch, so it's nice that they're using something a little bit unique here, but it's nice and solid. It feels good. Everything in here is stitched nicely. The color palette is pulled right again from the C47. They have what they call invasion stripes down by the tail, and then obviously the green of the plane itself. So the whole package, it just kind of screams C47. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that they tied this in, and yeah, it's a really cool strap. Sadly, it's just a little bit too stiff and a little bit too short for me. I can't quite get a double fold on this thing. So if I was going to do anything differently, I would just add an extra like 3/4 of an inch to this, and that would be plenty. But yeah, I think for anyone with a smaller wrist, it's going to be fine. I'm kind of right on the edge where I can't quite tuck it in. So, but yeah, I do think the strap looks good. I think it goes well with the watch. It matches perfectly, and I like the invasion stripes on it. I think as a whole package, the watch actually just looks really, really cool. And this is probably the strap that I get it on. So there you go, guys. That is the Praesidus D-Day 80th anniversary limited edition. Literally wearing a piece of history. It's been pretty freaking awesome, especially I wore this on the 4th of July. Sadly, I was stuck inside with COVID, and that's kind of why my voice sounds funny. So I think as a package, you're getting a very simple field watch, a very reliable movement, nice crystal, okay lume, pretty cool color scheme, but I mean the big star of the show is the dial and the history behind the dial and the plane. Just a really cool collaboration, I think. Praesidus, they put out a bunch of watches. They always sell out fast. They seem a little high priced, but people are willing to pay for them because they're put together so well. They are US assembled as well, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, they're just really cool watches. This is probably one of my favorite ones that I've seen so far. And a lot of that has to do with that dial and the historic aspect of it. But I do just physically like the look of this watch and how it wears. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.